Hi, I'm Erica, and it's science time. Hello and welcome to Science Time with Erica. Today's episode is about volcanoes and what they are and why we need them. Okay, so everybody knows the classic idea of what a volcano is basically a big pile of rock that spews lava and ash into the air and destroys everything in a blazing fury of fire. That's not always true. I've actually got the 10 different types of volcanoes written down right here, and I'll explain what each and every one does. So, starting off, let's go with the fissure vent. A fissure vent is really basically just a big old flat crack in the ground, and lava just kind of bubbles up through it. It's more or less a giant lava river. The second type is a shield volcano, in which lava will flow up and out from under the ground through a nice little hole, and it just, kind of like a pancake, just spreads across, and then that hardens, and then it'll do it again, also pretty non-violent. Then we have the lava domes, which are just like shield volcanoes, but happen more frequently, where lava comes up, and will fall down, harden, and then it will do it again, and it actually creates a much more steep dome than the slow-moving shield volcanoes do. And they can explode very violently, but the lava itself doesn't usually travel far. It's mostly ash with that kind. Now, a cryptodome is the one that most people in the Pacific Northwest are familiar with, because Mount St. Helens was a cryptodome. What is a cryptodome? Lava forcing its way up with a lot of pressure underneath, and it just builds and builds, and then what happened with Mount St. Helens was it was too unstable, started to slide down, and that's just a whole bunch of pressure being released. Now the next kind is called a volcanic or a cinder cone, where scoria and pyroclastics, which pyroclastics are basically just volcanic rock, and scoria is a very neat kind of rock. Those two build up around the vent and then usually explode only once, and then the whole volcano is done forever. And then we have stratovolcanoes, which are also known as composite volcanoes, which are the everyday volcano, the one that most people seem to think of. It's just layers upon layers of cinders, ash, and then lava. Ash piles out on top of cinders, and then lava will flow out over that and harden. And then you get another layer of ash, and another layer of, another layer of cinders, another layer of ash, and then another layer of lava. And so on and so forth, so we'll keep doing this. And when those volcanoes erupt, there's an awful lot of ash and debris that are loose and just extraordinarily hazardous to civilization. And they can sometimes have an effect on climates, not globally, but in a localized area. Then we come to the supervolcanoes, the one everybody's afraid of. And yes, I know you're probably thinking Yellowstone if you're in America. For a good reason. The supervolcanoes are gigantic and enormous. They can erupt in most any way that any volcano can erupt, but when they do erupt, there is widespread devastation on a continental scale. It's definitely something that you will only ever see once. We actually haven't had one erupt since we've had our civilization. The next kind of volcano is a submarine volcano, which is basically just a volcano that's under the water. Usually there's too much pressure to let them erupt and do anything, but sometimes they actually make it so far enough that they create islands that reach above the surface. A neat kind is called the subglacial volcano, in which lava forms underneath an ice cap. And, you know, it just sits there and it keeps doing this, and it makes its own little mountain underneath the ice. And when the ice finally melts, you're left with this flat, table-like mountain. And then we come to the last kind of volcano, which I'm not entirely sure is a true volcano, but it is classified as being so. A mud volcano, where mud and hot water mix with other liquids and gases from underground, geothermal gases that are excreted from underneath the surface. And there's no lava, although most of those materials are volcanic in origin, and so that's why they're noted as being volcanoes. Those are all the different kinds of volcanoes that we have. And now you're probably asking, why do we have volcanoes? Well, there's a few reasons, and here's just some of those. For one thing, volcanoes are just the Earth's way of relieving way too much pressure. I mean, magma from the core of the Earth will come up and it comes out as lava. And where does that magma come from? Well, when two plates collide, the continental plates collide, one of them will be pushed under, and it will be trapped underneath the plate on top, and it will be stuck with the magma below, and it will melt away into more magma. And that's how we get the continuing system of where lava comes from. And one thing that's really helpful about it is that volcanic ash and the volcanic rocks are full of nutrients that are really good for making our soil fertile and helping us grow farms and orchards. It helps the entire ecosystem. And lastly, some volcanoes, like shield volcanoes, form islands. That's where Hawaii came from. So this has been Science Time with Erica, and we hope you've enjoyed.